thrown away like trash. Rain fell hard on the metal streets of the alien city. Lights flickered. People rushed past, holding coats over their heads. But one small figure walked slowly, alone, wet, and shaking. Her name was Unit 9Z, though no one ever called her that. She had no family, no tribe, no home. She was a young alien girl, small in size, with thin arms and glowing blue eyes. One of her legs was made of rusted metal, a broken robotic replacement. It sparked when she walked. She had long silver hair that stuck to her face because of the rain. Dirt covered her torn clothes. As she passed, people looked at her with disgust. "That's the broken one," a tall alien woman whispered. "Why is she still alive?" a merchant said. "Her kind should have been recycled years ago." Unit 9Z heard every word, but she didn't cry anymore. She had no more tears left. She just kept walking, head down, stomach empty, her metal leg dragging, on the wet ground. She walked to a nearby food stall and stared at the hot buns on display. Her stomach growled loudly. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. "Get away from my cart," the alien seller yelled. "You don't have credits, filthy thing." He threw a dirty rag at her. It hit her in the face. She didn't fight. She turned and walked away. On a nearby bench, 3 alien boys watched her. "Let's have some fun," one of them grinned. They followed her. When she turned into a small alley, they surrounded her. "You're not welcome here," one said. "You're trash," another laughed. The third boy pushed her. She fell hard, her metal leg clanging on the ground. They kicked her bag, her only possession, spilling. The few scraps she had inside, a broken spoon, a small blanket, a photo of someone long gone. "Stop it," she said in a soft voice. But they didn't stop. Then, suddenly, a strong voice shouted, "Hey!" The boys froze. From the other side of the alley, a tall figure stepped forward. A human man, soaked in the rain, with a rough jacket and a calm but dangerous look in his eyes. "What do you think you're doing?" the man asked. The alien boys laughed nervously. "She's no one, just trash." "I wasn't talking to you," the man said. He stepped between the girl and the boys. His boots splashed in the puddle. His presence felt heavy, like he had seen real war. The boys looked at each other, then ran off. The man looked down at the girl. She tried to sit up, but her metal leg sparked badly. She winced. "You okay?" he asked. She didn't answer. She just looked at him confused. Why was he helping? No one had ever helped her. He bent down and gently picked up her blanket and her photo. Then he offered her his hand. "My name's Jack," he said. "What's yours?" She hesitated. No one had ever asked her that before, not even once. "Unit 9Z, she whispered. Jack frowned. "That's not a name. That's a number." She said nothing. He thought for a moment, then smiled softly. "How about I call you Leary?" She blinked. Leary? That sounded nice, like music, like something real. "No one has ever given me a name," she said quietly. "Well," Jack said, helping her stand. "First time for everything." He noticed her leg was sparking again. "That looks bad," he said. "Can you walk?" She shook her head. "It's broken, like me." Jack sighed. "You're not broken, Leary. You're just hurt. There's a difference." She looked up at him again. Something strange filled her chest. Something warm. Not fear, not hunger. It felt like hope. Jack helped her walk to a small covered corner near an old supply shop. He took off his coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. "Wait here," he said. "I'll get some food." Leary grabbed his sleeve. "You don't have to." He smiled. "I know, but I want to." She sat there, stunned. In her whole life, no one had ever said they wanted to help her. As Jack walked into the rain, Leary looked at the coat wrapped around her. It smelled like oil and old leather, but it was warm. For the first time, she didn't feel cold. The rain still poured, but For Leary, something had already changed. Leary woke up to the sound of quiet humming. The rain had stopped, but the sky was still gray. She was wrapped in a large old coat, Jack's coat, and for the first time in days, her small body wasn't freezing. Her broken metal leg still sparked sometimes, but it didn't hurt as much now. She looked around slowly. They were under a rusted awning beside an old supply shop. Jack had placed a plastic box near her with a piece of bread, dried meat, and a warm drink inside. She stared at the food, unsure what to do. Was this a trick? Would he ask her for something in return? That's what others always did. But then, Jack returned. He held a small toolkit in one hand and a bent piece of scrap metal in the other. His hair was messy, wet from the earlier rain, and his face looked tired but kind. "You're awake," he said, setting the tools down beside her. "Good. You hungry?" Leary didn't speak. She just nodded. "Eat," he said gently. She reached for the bread, hands trembling. She hadn't eaten real food in so long, she had forgotten what it was like to chew something warm. Jack didn't watch her like the others used to. He didn't wait for her to beg or act thankful. He just quietly worked on the piece of scrap in his lap, cutting it into a new shape. After a while, she whispered, "Why are you helping me?" Jack paused, then looked at her. "Because I saw someone in pain." "No one helps me," she said. "They say I'm a defect. I don't belong to any bond group." Jack gave a small smile. "Well, maybe that's their loss." Leary looked down. Her eyes were wet again. She hated crying, but around him, it just happened. He picked up her leg gently and examined the joint. "This repair is a mess. Whoever put this together didn't care about you." "They didn't," she whispered. Jack pulled out a cleaner tool and started working. "You know," he said, tightening something. "On Earth, we don't let kids suffer alone. Even the broken ones deserve family." She looked up. "Earth? You're from Earth?" He nodded. "Born in New Detroit. Been off-world for about 5 years now. Working ship repairs, supply runs, odd jobs." "Why did you stop for me?" Jack looked at her seriously. "Because you looked like you needed someone." "I know that look." Leary tilted her head. "Have you been alone too?" "Once," he said softly. "Long time ago. But someone gave me a chance. So now, I try to do the same." She didn't know what to say. Her throat felt tight. No one had ever spoken to her like this. Not like she mattered. Jack smiled again. "I can't keep calling you Unit 9Z. That's not a name. That's something you give a machine." "I don't have another name," she said quietly. "Well, let's fix that," he replied. "You deserve a real one. Something that belongs only to you." He thought for a moment, then said, "How about Leary? It was my little sister's middle name. She used to say it meant hope in an old Earth language." "Leary," she whispered. She tried the name again in her mind. It felt soft, warm. It didn't sound broken. "You like it?" Jack asked. She nodded slowly. "It's beautiful." "Then it's yours," he said. "Leary." She couldn't stop smiling. It was a strange feeling, smiling. Her cheeks hurt, a little from it. She didn't care. Jack kept working on her leg for the next hour. He replaced a few old wires with fresh ones, fixed the spark in the motor, and adjusted the knee joint. It wasn't perfect, but it was better. "This should hold until we can get real parts," he said. "You might even be able to run again." "I've never run," Leary said. Jack blinked. "Never?" She shook her head. "They said it was a waste. I wasn't worth fixing." Jack's jaw tightened. He didn't say anything for a moment. "Well," he finally said, standing up, "then we'll teach you." He offered his hand again. She hesitated, then took it. She stood slowly, wobbling at first, but this time she didn't fall. Her leg didn't spark. It moved smoother, stronger. She looked up at him. "Thank you." "You don't owe me anything," Jack said, patting her head. But if you want to stick with me for a while, I wouldn't mind. Her heart beat faster. Was he serious? You'd let me stay? She asked. Of course, he said. No one deserves to be left alone. Leary looked at the sky. The clouds were still heavy, but behind them a small patch of light peeked through. For the first time in her life, she felt like maybe she wasn't just trash. She was Leary now, and she had someone who cared. The next few days passed like a dream for Leary. She stayed with Jack, sleeping in a small corner of the repair shop he worked at. The room smelled like oil, metal, and old wires. But to Leary, it smelled like safety. Jack gave her a warm blanket, a real pillow, and even a soft scarf he found in storage. He made a tiny bed for her beside his own. She would often wake up in the middle of the night, just to check if he was still there. He always was. Sometimes snoring, sometimes softly humming, in his sleep. And every time she smiled and closed her eyes again. Jack kept his promise. He taught her how to walk properly with her fixed leg. They practiced in the empty loading bay behind the shop. It was hard at first. She fell often, but Jack never got angry. He always helped her up with a smile and said, "Again, Leary, you're doing better." And she was. Her steps became stronger, more stable. She even laughed once when she managed to jump over a small pipe. It was the first laugh she could remember giving. But not everyone was happy. The town was small, and word traveled fast. Whispers turned into talk, and talk turned into anger. "Did you hear?" the bakery owner said. "That human? He's letting the broken outcast live with him." "She's cursed," said an old alien woman. "That's why no bond group accepted her. He's bringing danger to us all." "I saw her at the market yesterday," another spat. "Looking at food like she belonged here. She's just using him. They always do." Jack noticed it first when he went to buy parts. The shopkeeper, who used to greet him warmly, barely looked up. He charged double the price. Later, at the food stall, no one would sell him bread. When Jack asked why, the merchant just sneered. "We don't serve those who protect filth." Jack didn't argue. He simply left. But Leary saw the quiet look on his face that night. He didn't want her to know, but she wasn't a fool. She could feel it. "Is it because of me?" she asked. Him quietly. He looked at her. "Leary, people hate me," she whispered. "They always have. I thought maybe if I disappeared, they'd be happy." Jack got on one knee in front of her. "You listened to me," he said firmly. "You didn't do anything wrong. The problem isn't you, it's them. Their hearts are blind. But you're losing things," she said. "Food, work. I heard the owner yell at you." Jack sighed. "Yes, I might lose things, but I won't lose you. And if they can't see what I see, then that's their failure." Tears filled her. Glowing blue eyes. "Why are you like this?" Jack smiled softly. "Because someone once saved me when everyone else turned away, and I made a promise. If I ever got the chance, I'd do the same." Later that week, things got worse. Someone spray-painted the wall outside the repair shop. Big red letters. "Human Trader, remove the defect." Jack cleaned it before Leary saw, but she already knew. One morning, as Jack went to pick up scrap, Leary decided to help. She grabbed a small bucket and started cleaning the front steps. Her leg was stronger now, and she wanted to show Jack she could be useful. As she scrubbed, a shadow fell over her. She looked up. 3 aliens, 2 men and a young female, stood there, arms crossed. "What do you think you're doing?" the tall man said. Leary stood up slowly. "I'm just cleaning." "You don't belong here," the woman said. "This is our district. Your kind brings sickness." "I'm not hurting anyone," Leary said, voice shaking. "Not yet," the second man said. "But you will. You people always bring death." Suddenly, someone shouted behind them. "That's enough, Jack." He stormed forward, standing between Leary and the group. "If you have a problem," he said coldly, "take it up with me." "She's a danger," The alien woman snapped. "No," Jack said, his voice like thunder. "She's a child. A brave, kind child who deserves to feel safe." The group hesitated. "We'll be watching," one of them muttered before walking away. Leary stared at Jack, stunned. "You didn't have to." He turned to her, kneeling again. "Yes, I did." That night she said something she had never said to anyone in her entire life. "I'm glad I met you, Jack." And he smiled, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Me too, Leary. Me too." But deep inside, Jack knew something was coming. The town's anger was building, and soon it might boil over. But no matter what happened next, he had made his choice. He would protect Leary, no matter the cost. The sun rose quietly over the edge of the scrapyard, casting soft orange light through the dusty windows of the repair shop. It was the first clear morning in a long time. For once, there was no rain. No angry shouts from the street and no footsteps chasing shadows away, just stillness. And in that peaceful silence, Leary sat near the corner, her back resting against an old toolbox, watching the sunlight dance on the floor. Jack was asleep on a cot nearby, one arm across his chest, the other hanging off the side, still holding a wrench he had forgotten to put away. His boots were muddy, his jacket half off, but his face looked calm, calmer than she had seen in days. Leary pulled the blanket tighter around herself. She hadn't said much the night before. Not after the crowd had come again. Not after Jack stood between her and those hateful voices. Again. But something had shifted inside her. She didn't understand it at first. It wasn't fear. She had lived with fear for years. This was different. It was a strange warmth, like a small fire that refused to die. She quietly stood up and limped to the back room where Jack kept old tools and broken junk. Her leg, thanks to Jack's careful work, didn't spark anymore, but it still clicked loudly if she turned too fast. Inside the back room, she found it, an old, dusty box filled with spare parts and random wires. She remembered how Jack once said he used to build simple things just for fun, to keep his hands busy and brain quiet. She wanted to try that now. Not for fun, but to show him she could do something too. She sat on the floor working with her small hands. They were rough and scarred, but steady. She remembered how he connected wires, how he shaped the metal. It was hard, but she kept going. She didn't even notice the sun rising higher or the time passing. When Jack woke up, it was past noon. He rubbed his eyes, looked around, and didn't see her. "Leary?" he called, voice half asleep. "I'm here," she said softly from the back room. He walked in and paused at the door. Leary sat cross-legged on the floor, her scarf tied back, her hands covered in black dust. In front of her sat a strange little creature, a toy made from scraps. It had two uneven arms, blinking eyes made from light sensors, and legs made of springs. It buzzed, wobbled forward, and fell over. Leary looked up at him. "It still needs balance," she said. "But I think it works," Jack laughed. "You built that?" She nodded, brushing her hair from her face. "I wanted to thank you, so I made you a helper. For cleaning up tools, maybe." Jack sat beside her. He picked up the robot, turned it over in his hand, and smiled wide. "It's perfect." She blinked at him. "Really?" "Yeah," he said. "And it looks a little like me." She giggled. It was small at first, barely a sound, but then it grew, a real laugh. Jack stared at her in surprise. "Was that a laugh?" She blushed. "Maybe." "You've got a good laugh," he said. "You should do it more often." She looked down, a little shy. Then, slowly, she smiled. A real smile. Not the fake one she used to wear when she was scared. Not the forced one she gave to guards hoping they'd leave her alone. But a soft, shining smile full of warmth. Jack didn't say anything for a moment. He just watched her. "You know," he said finally, "that smile. It suits you more than any armor." She touched her lips, still not used to the feeling. smiling. Feels strange, she admitted. That's because it's new, Jack said. But it means you're healing. Later that day, Jack took her to the rooftop of the old shop. They sat there on 2 crates, eating warm noodles from paper cups. The city buzzed below, ships flying, workers shouting, life moving. But from above, it felt distant, like another world. There, Jack pointed. See that star? That's Earth's sun, my home. It looks so small, Leary said. It's far, he said. But sometimes small things mean the most. She looked at the star again, then at her hands, dirty but steady. Useful. She had built something. She had made someone smile. And now, she had smiled too. Do you think I'll ever be normal? She asked. Jack shook his head. No, I think you'll be better than normal. She laughed again. For once, the world didn't feel so cold. She wasn't trash anymore. She was Leary, and she had a place not just to sleep but to grow. The day started like any other. Warm sun, soft wind, and the scent of baked bread drifting through the market lanes. Jack had finally convinced Leary to step out with him into the open streets again. She was nervous at first. Every step outside felt like walking into a storm of eyes and whispers. But today he promised her it would be different. You've got a real name now, Jack said, smiling at her as he adjusted her scarf. You've got a strong leg, and you've got me. Leary looked up at him. What if people still hate me? Then they're not worth listening to, he replied. Just stay close. She nodded, gripping his sleeve gently as they entered the town square. The market was busy. Children ran between stalls, alien vendors shouted out prices, and hover carts rolled by. A few people gave them cold stares, some whispered, but others just looked curious. For once, no one yelled, no one threw anything. Jack bought 2 fried sweet rolls and handed one to Leary. She bit into hers slowly, eyes wide from the taste. It was warm and soft and sweeter than anything she'd ever eaten. I want to remember this day, she said. Softly, Jack smiled. You will. But fate had other plans. It happened fast, so fast that no one had time to think. A loud snap echoed through the square. A hover cart overloaded with heavy steel pipes suddenly lost control. Its brakes failed and it sped forward toward the center of the market, where a small alien child stood frozen in fear. The mother screamed, vendors shouted, people ran, but no one moved toward the child, no one, except Leary. She dropped her sweet roll. Her metal leg clicked as she ran, faster than she ever had before. Jack turned, shouting her name, but she didn't stop. The cart was seconds away. The child couldn't move. Time slowed. Leary leapt. Her body slammed into the child, pushing him to safety just as the cart crashed into a stall, metal pipes flying in every direction. One pipe struck Leary across the back with a loud crack and she hit the ground hard, rolling into crates. Silence followed. Dust settled. Then someone screamed. Jack rushed through the crowd, heart racing. Leary! He found her behind the broken crates, lying still. Her metal leg was twisted. Her breathing was shallow. Sparks danced from her side. He dropped to his knees. Leary, stay with me. Look at me. She opened her eyes slightly. Is the child safe? Jack nodded quickly. Yes, he's okay. You saved him. She smiled weakly. Good. Then it was worth it. No, Jack said, tears in his voice. You don't talk like that. You're going to be okay. I've got you. People began to gather. The child's mother ran forward, clutching her son, tears streaming down her face. She saved him. That girl saved my baby. A crowd formed. For once, no one looked at Leary with hate. They looked at her with awe. Medics arrived. Jack wouldn't leave her side as they lifted her onto a stretcher. Her hand gripped his, weak but determined. Don't leave me, she whispered. Never, Jack said. She was rushed to the city clinic, one usually closed to defective citizens like her. But today the doctors didn't turn her away. They saw the blood, the burns, the bravery. They saw a girl who risked her life to save another. Jack sat in the waiting area for hours, her broken scarf clutched in his hands. He didn't eat. He didn't speak. He only watched the door. Finally, the nurse came out. "She's stable," she said. "She asked for you." Jack rushed in. Leary lay on a bed, her leg removed for repair, her arms wrapped in soft bandages. But her eyes lit up when she saw him. "You came." "Of course I did," Jack said, sitting beside her. She looked up at the ceiling, quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "Why did no one else move, Jack? Why didn't anyone save that boy?" Jack took her hand gently. "Because fear stops most people. But you're not like most people." "I'm not afraid anymore," she said. "I know," Jack said softly. "You're a hero now." She shook her head slowly. "I don't want to be a hero. I just wanted to matter." Jack squeezed her hand. "You already did, but now the whole town knows." The door opened again. The child's mother entered holding flowers. Behind her stood others from the market. No angry faces, no insults, only quiet respect. And Leary smiled. Not just because she was proud, but because, for the first time ever, the world smiled back. The next morning, something strange happened. Something Leary never thought possible. The town was quiet, but not in the usual way. Not the kind of silence filled with judgment and whispers behind hands. This was a peaceful silence, like the calm after a long storm. For the first time, her name, Leary, was not spoken with hate. Jack had stepped out early just to get her something soft to eat. Leary remained in her hospital bed, staring at the ceiling and listening. A nurse came in, smiling. She didn't speak harshly or avoid eye contact like others had before. She gently checked the bandages and said, "You have visitors." "Visitors?" Leary asked, surprised. "Why?" The nurse only smiled again and stepped aside. Then the door opened. And they came. First was the boy she had saved, his little green fingers clutching a soft toy. He looked nervous at first, but walked up and placed the toy gently on her lap. "Thank you," he whispered. Leary blinked, touched the toy gently and nodded. "I'm glad you're okay." His mother followed, holding a basket of fruit and small flowers wrapped in paper. "You saved my son," she said. "I judged you unfairly before. I see now I was wrong. Please, forgive me." Leary couldn't speak. Her throat tightened. She only nodded. One by one, more people came. A baker who once threw her away offered warm bread. The old merchant brought a scarf made of soft silver thread. Even the supply shop owner, who once doubled Jack's prices, stepped in quietly and placed a small repair tool set on the table. "We don't deserve your forgiveness," he said, "but we wanted to try." Jack returned just as the line of visitors was ending. He stood in the doorway, arms crossed, stunned. "Well," he said, half smiling, "I go out for 15 minutes and you become royalty?" Leary let out a light laugh. "I don't know what's happening." "I do," Jack said, stepping closer. "You showed them what they refused to see. You reminded them that strength isn't in how perfect someone looks, but in what someone's willing to do when it matters most." Later that day, the mayor of the district himself arrived. A tall alien with gold markings and a long cloak. He entered with guards who seemed nervous, but he walked straight to Leary's bed. "I heard the story," he said, looking at her with curious eyes. "You risked your life to save a child you didn't even know." Leary nodded slowly. "He was afraid. No one moved. I couldn't watch him die." The mayor nodded. "Many born here forget honor, but you reminded them." He pulled out a small silver medallion and placed it in her hands. "The Star of Courage," he explained. "Rarely given. Never before to someone like you. Today, that changes." Jack stepped forward. "She didn't do it for a medal." "I know," the mayor said, "and that's why she deserves it." News of Leary's act spread beyond the town. A local newsfeed aired footage of the moment. Images of her lying in the dirt protecting the child ran across screens. Some called her the broken hero. Others called her the brave machine girl. But Jack called her something else. Leary. Just Leary. No titles, no labels. Days passed and her recovery went well. One morning Jack came in with something hidden behind his back. "What is it?" she asked. "A surprise," he said. He revealed a new robotic leg, sleek, polished, and designed perfectly to fit her. "Found a friend who owed me a favor. It's custom made, stronger than before, built for running." Leary stared at it, then at him. "You did all this for me?" "I'd do more if I could," he said. When the nurse fitted the new leg, Leary took her first step. No clicks, no sparks, smooth, steady. And then she ran. Down the hall, past the window, through the garden. She laughed like wind. Jack followed, breathless, smiling like a proud father. When she stopped, she looked back at him, eyes shining. "I feel alive," she said. "You are alive," he answered. That night, as they sat under the stars outside the hospital, Leary held the medallion in one hand and the toy in the other. "All my life I was called trash, defect, problem," she whispered. "Now they call me hero." Jack leaned back on the bench. "Funny how truth takes time to show." "I don't know if I deserve it." Jack looked at her. "You don't have to. You earned it." She smiled and closed her eyes. For the first time in her memory, there was peace in her heart. No fear, no shame, just stillness, and the knowledge that she was no longer a monster in their eyes. She was Leary the Brave, and she had a future. 2 weeks had passed since the accident. The town was no longer the same, and neither was Leary. Her new leg worked like magic. She walked with strength, ran with joy, and carried herself with quiet pride. People waved at her now. Some stopped to talk. Others offered gifts, simple things like flowers, scarves, books. She accepted them with soft smiles, but deep inside, she knew only one gift mattered. Jack. He never left her side. Through pain, through healing, through the noise of praise that followed her everywhere now, he was the same. Gentle, calm, steady, like the stars. He didn't care about medals or attention, he just cared that she was safe, that she was smiling again, that she no longer cried herself to sleep. One evening, as the sun dipped below the skyline, casting golden light across the dusty hills, Jack and Leary walked quietly up the ridge behind the town. The wind was warm, brushing through her silver hair. The sky turned soft shades of orange and violet. Jack carried a bag slung over one shoulder, and Leary walked beside him, their shadows stretched out on the dirt path. "Where are we going?" she asked. "You'll see," he said. When they reached the top, Leary saw it, a small clearing, a single bench made of salvaged wood, and in the distance, wide open land. Quiet. Empty. Beautiful. Jack sat down and patted the space beside him. "Told you I had a place I wanted to show you." Leary sat, eyes wide at the view. "It's peaceful." "It was my favorite spot. When I first arrived here," he said. "When things were hard, I'd come here and just breathe." She nodded slowly. "I get it." They sat in silence for a while, the wind wrapping around them like a soft blanket. Then Leary asked, "What happens now?" Jack looked at her. "What do you mean?" "I mean, to us, to me. Do I go back to the system? Do they place me somewhere else now?" Jack frowned. "Do you want to go?" She looked away. "I don't know. They said I can choose now. That I have rights, but I don't want to be without you." Jack's breath caught in his throat. He turned toward her. "I don't want to live somewhere else," she continued, her voice trembling. "I don't care if it's a big house or a rich district. I want to be where I feel safe. And that's with you." Jack was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached into his bag and pulled something out, a small worn wooden box. He opened it. Inside was a thin metal band. Not gold, not silver, just polished steel with a single blue gem set in the middle. I made this. He said, not fancy, not expensive. But I thought, if one day you wanted to choose where you belong, maybe you could choose to stay. Leary stared at it, eyes wide. On Earth, he continued, we have something called a life bond. A promise. Between two people. Not just love, but trust, loyalty. It doesn't have to be romantic. It's deeper than that. It means your family. Forever. Tears welled in Leary's eyes. You'd give that to me? I already have, he said softly. But this just makes it official. Her hands shook as she reached for the band. She held it close to her chest, then looked into his eyes. Jack, I choose you. His smile was quiet and full of warmth. Then you belong with me. She slipped the band on her wrist. It fit perfectly. That night, they returned to the shop. The lights flickered gently as they walked in. Leary moved through, the space like it was already home because it was. She placed the medallion of courage on the shelf beside the small robot she had built. She touched both gently, then sat down beside the window. Jack joined her with 2 cups of hot tea. Outside, the city lights blinked in the distance. Inside, the room was calm, filled with soft sounds of breathing and the hum of machines. Leary leaned, her head against Jack's shoulder. Do you think I'll be okay now? He looked at her. You're more than okay. You're strong. You're brave. And you're not alone. She closed her eyes. I was broken once. You were never broken, he whispered. You were waiting to be seen. And now she was seen, not as a defect, not as a problem, but as Leary, the girl who smiled, the girl who saved a life, the girl who found her place not in a perfect world, but in the heart of one human who refused to look away. She was home. At last.